Have you ever looked into your dog's eyes and felt something was off, but you couldn't explain it? You feed them, you walk them, you love them in every way. You know how. But what if I told you that sometimes that's not enough? Dogs can't speak, but they do cry for help. And the saddest part is most of us miss it. We confuse silence with peace when in truth it can be the very first sign of suffering. The truth is only a small number of owners ever learn to recognize these signals in time. That's why today, I'll reveal 9 warning signs your dog may be suffering in silence. They're not obvious, they're not loud, but they matter more than you think. And the very first sign is something almost everyone overlooks until it's too late. Sign 1, sudden indifference to favorite things. Think about the last time your dog ran to the tail wagging the moment you picked up the leash, or when they lit up at the sight of their favorite toy bouncing with joy like it was the best part of their day. Now imagine that. Spark just gone. The ball sits untouched. The leash no longer excites them. The toy they once carried proudly now lies in the corner as if it doesn't matter anymore. This isn't laziness. This isn't simply getting older. It's a warning. When a dog suddenly stops caring about the things that used to bring them joy, it's often the very first silent cry for help. Just like people can slip into depression, dogs can too. Their world becomes quieter, darker, less inviting, and they retreat inside themselves. You might call their name, sit beside them, even place the toy in front of them, and still nothing. That emptiness, you see, is not stubbornness. It's disconnection. And here's where most owners make the mistake. They assume their dog is tired or bored or simply mellowing with age. But indifference is never just normal. It's the beginning of a story that can end in withdrawal, hiding, and complete emotional shutdown if left unseen. Which brings us to the next sign. 1. That takes this quiet disconnection even further. And it's one many families don't realize until their dog disappears into the shadows of their own home. Sign 2, withdrawal and hiding. At first, it seems harmless. Your dog no longer lies in the middle of the living room, but slips quietly into the corner. Maybe under the table, maybe behind the couch, maybe even under the bed. You tell yourself they just want some alone time. But here's the truth. Dogs are pack animals. Hiding away from the people they love is not normal. It's a red flag when a dog withdraws. It's rarely about needing space. It's about pain, fear, or overwhelming stress. For them, the light, the noise, even your presence can feel unbearable. And so, they retreat into the shadows where no one can reach them. You might notice it most when guests arrive. They don't come running anymore. They don't greet the door. Instead, they vanish. And that vanishing act is their silent cry, saying, "I can't handle this world right now." But here's where the real danger lies. Withdrawal doesn't always stay in the corner. It can grow. A dog who hides may soon stop engaging altogether. Not just avoiding the living room, but avoiding you. And when that bond, the one thing that defines a dog's very nature, starts to fade, the next sign appears, one written not in their body but in their eyes. Sign 3, dull or blank eyes. Every dog parent knows that look, the bright alert gaze that follows you from room to room. The sparkle that tells you they're alive, engaged, connected. But when that light fades, when their eyes grow dull or blank, it's more than just tiredness. It's one of the clearest yet most overlooked signs that something is deeply wrong. The eyes are windows not just to the soul, but to a dog's health and emotions. A dog that stops reacting when you make eye contact, that no longer perks up when you say their name, is not simply resting. They may be shutting down. Some owners only realize it when they flip through old photos and notice the difference. The sharp, eager eyes they once knew now seem clouded, distant, lifeless. That change doesn't happen overnight. It creeps in quietly, just like suffering does. And here's the part that stings the most. Many people don't notice until it's too late. They brush it off as aging, as slowing down, as nothing serious. But when your dog's eyes stop watching, you stop searching for, you stop shining for you. It's their silent way of saying, "I can't hold on much longer." Yet sometimes those same eyes don't go blank at all. Instead, they lock onto you, constantly shadowing your every move. And while you may think that's love, the truth is far more complicated and far more heartbreaking. Sign 4, excessive shadowing, following everywhere. At first, it feels sweet. Your dog trails behind you from the living room to the kitchen, waits outside the bathroom door, never letting you out of sight. You smile, thinking, they just love me so much. And yes, love is part of it. But when following turns into shadowing, when it feels like they cannot breathe unless you're there, it's not just affection, it's anxiety. Separation. Anxiety doesn't always show up in loud ways. Sometimes it's this quiet, desperate clinging. Their nervous system is constantly on high alert, terrified that the moment you disappear, their world collapses. Science confirms this. Studies have shown cortisol, the stress hormone, spikes in dogs left alone, but drops when they smell their owner's scent or hear their voice. In other words, their body is literally begging for you to stay. And here's what many people miss. That shadowing doesn't stop when you leave. The moment the door closes, the anxiety explodes, whimpering, scratching, pacing, crying for hours. Not because they're spoiled, not because they're misbehaving, but because they don't know how to be without you. This is their last fragile thread of security. And when it breaks, the signs become even subtler, even easier to dismiss. One of those signs looks so ordinary that most people laugh it off, call it cute, or don't think twice. But in reality, it's a self-soothing behavior that hides a storm inside. Sign 5, excessive yawning and subtle stress signals. We all know what a sleepy yawn looks like. The slow stretch after a nap, the soft sigh before bed. But when your dog yawns over and over in the middle of the day in the quiet of the room, or especially when you reach for your coat or your keys, it's not sleepiness. It's stress. Yawning is one of the clearest calming signals in dogs. A way their body tries to soothe itself when overwhelmed. Researchers studying canine behavior found that repeated yawning is directly linked to spikes in stress hormones like cortisol. In other words, that little yawn isn't just harmless, it's your dog's nervous system struggling to cope. Most owners mistake it for boredom or ignore it entirely. But picture this, your dog watches you grab your bag. Their eyes follow you to the door and suddenly the yawns come one after another. That's not random. That's their silent plea. Please don't leave me. And yawning isn't the only quiet sign. Lip licking with no food around. Sudden paw licking, pacing, even turning their head away when you lean in. These are all stress signals that vanish in plain sight. They seem so ordinary that you dismiss them. But together they form a pattern, a language of distress most people never learn to read. And when that distress grows too heavy, it often attacks the one thing dogs almost never refuse. Something so serious that when it happens, you need to act immediately. Sign 6, refusing food. Every dog parent knows that food is life. The clinking of the bowl, the rustle of a treat bag, the smell of dinner. These are usually enough to bring them running. So, when your dog suddenly turns away, leaves a meal untouched, or ignores even their favorite treat, it's not stubbornness. It's an emergency. A healthy dog doesn't refuse food without reason. Sometimes it's physical pain, thyroid problems, kidney disease, digestive issues, or chronic illness draining their body from the inside. Other times, it's emotional exhaustion, the kind that makes them too drained to care about what once excited them most. Veterinarians warn that skipping even 1 or 2 meals can be the first visible sign of something serious brewing beneath the surface. And here's the heartbreaking part. Many owners think maybe they're just not hungry today and wait it out. But when a dog stops eating, their body is sending the loudest silent cry it knows how to give. This isn't a time to hope it passes. It's the moment to act, to call your vet, to intervene before weakness sets in, and the window to help closes. Yet refusing food isn't the only physical sign that hides behind ordinary moments. Sometimes the clue isn't in what they eat, but in how they breathe the rhythm of life itself, turning into a warning. You can hear if you're paying attention. Sign 7, abnormal breathing and trembling. You've seen your dog pant after a long walk or on a hot summer day. That's normal. But what if they start breathing heavily in the middle of the night, in the cool of the house, or while simply lying still? What if the panting comes with trembling shallow breaths or even a soft whine? That's when it's no longer about heat or exercise. That's when the body is warning you something deeper is wrong. Abnormal. Breathing can be a sign of hidden conditions like asthma, laryngitis, or even heart disease. These aren't problems that wait politely for you to notice. They creep in quietly until one day the struggle for air becomes too great to ignore. For your dog, every gasp feels like a fight. Every tremor a signal that their body is under attack. The danger is how easy it is to dismiss. Many owners brush it off as excitement, nerves, or a quirk. But when breathing no longer matches the moment, when it feels out of place, that's the time to act. Because breathing is life. And any change in its rhythm is a message you cannot afford to miss. And sometimes those changes don't just appear in how they breathe, but in the way their body transforms slowly, almost invisibly. Weight that melts away too fast or piles on without reason. Sleep that stretches longer or becomes restless. These are shifts that speak just as loudly as a labored breath if you know how to listen. Sign 8, Weight and Sleep. Changes. Weight tells a story long before words ever could. When your dog suddenly drops pounds without a change in diet or gains weight despite eating the same as always, it's never random. It can point to thyroid imbalances, diabetes, or chronic stress silently wearing down their body. For senior dogs, these shifts can be especially dangerous because what looks like aging might actually be illness stealing time away. Sleep tells its own truth as well. A dog that once rested peacefully may now toss, turn, or wake often in the night. Others slip into the opposite pattern, sleeping far longer than usual, not because they're relaxed, but because their body is fighting exhaustion. These are not quirks. They are red flags, soft signals that the body and the mind are struggling. The tragedy is how subtle it all seems. A little extra sleep, a few missing pounds, easy to overlook, easy to excuse. But together they form a pattern, a quiet map of decline. And if you notice it early, you can intervene. You can buy time. You can change the story. But sometimes the most painful signs aren't written in their body at all. Sometimes they come from the bond between you and your dog. When your own stress, your own worry begins to seep into their life. And when that happens, the cry for help doesn't come from them alone, but from the mirror they hold up to you. Sign 9, Stress transferred from owners. Dogs don't just live with us, they live through us. They mirror our moods, absorb our energy, and carry our stress. Even when we don't say a word. Studies show that when owners ruminate about work, when they carry anxiety day after day without rest, their dogs begin to show the same signs: whining, pacing, restless sleep, even subtle anxiety behaviors that look like their world is collapsing. You might think your sighs, your late-night worry, your restless thoughts are invisible to them. But to your dog, every shift in your tone, every change in your rhythm is a signal. And when your stress lingers, they wear it, too. It's heartbreaking because the very bond that makes dogs our closest companions also makes them vulnerable to the storms we bring home. The hardest part, most owners never realize it's happening. They believe the dog is simply anxious on its own when in fact the anxiety has been passed down like a shadow. And that means the solution isn't just about helping your dog. It's about helping yourself. Relaxation rituals, pheromone therapy, even something as simple as breathing together in a quiet room can begin to calm both of you. Because when your dog's suffering is tied to yours, saving them means saving both of you. And once you understand these 9 cries for help, the question becomes, what do you do next? How do you take this knowledge and turn it into action before the silent cries fade forever? Now that you've seen the 9 warning signs, pause for a moment and think back to where we began. That look in your dog's eyes, the one you couldn't quite explain. Was it really just silence? Or was it the first whisper of suffering you didn't yet know how to hear? Every sign we've walked through, indifference, hiding dull eyes, shadowing, yawning, refusing food, struggling to breathe, changes in weight and sleep. Even the stress they borrow from you. Each is a piece of the same language. A language that doesn't use words but speaks louder than anything else if you're willing to listen. Here's the truth you need to hold on to. Noticing these signs doesn't mean you failed your dog. It means you finally learned to understand them. It means you won't wait until it's too late. And it means you can act. Whether that's scheduling a vet check, trying a wellness exam, adjusting their routine, or even giving yourself the space to breathe so they can too. Technology can help. Tools like smart dog collars can track subtle changes you might miss, but nothing replaces the bond you already share. That bond is your greatest tool, your greatest medicine. Because every moment you choose to pay closer attention, to lean in, to say, "I see you," you give your dog more than comfort. You give them life. So don't carry guilt. Don't carry regret. Carry awareness. Carry the hope that comes from action. Because one small choice today, a call to your vet, an extra minute of presence, a decision to slow down, can change the entire story of your dog's tomorrow. And if this video has opened your eyes, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, because there's another dog out there silently crying while their parent has no idea. Subscribe, because together we can make sure you never miss the signs that matter most. And remember, your dog may not have words, but now you do. Use them to speak for the one who's been begging for help all along. There's a kind of silence that doesn't soothe, it aches. You've seen it. Your dog sitting by the window, still as a statue, eyes fixed on a world they can't reach. You think they're just relaxing, but what if that stillness was the sound of a heart waiting too long? Dogs don't write letters. They don't leave voicemails. They speak through the small things. Quiet stares, tired tails, fading sparks. And the ones who love you most, they wait the hardest. Every tick of the clock without you feels like an echo in an empty room. You feed them, walk them, give them warmth. But do you give them what they truly crave? Presence. Today, I'll show you 10 quiet cries. Thanks for watching, and like, subscribe and share please.